absolutely. So my name is Eden Crabtree. I am the NDIS team leader and head support coordinator. And my role here is obviously support coordination, but also providing the team, the NDIS team, with a lot of, information and guidance and supervision.
So the first question, are people being removed from the NDIS?
My take on this is this bill has not been passed as yet. So I guess what that essentially means is no, nobody is going to be removed right away. We may see some changes coming in, but for now, nobody is essentially being removed from the NDIS.
So will a diagnosis, so autism or ADHD, will that still guarantee access?
No. So leading up until late, a autism diagnosis of level 2 did get you automatic access onto the scheme. However, now they are reforming back to the ways of, regardless of you having a permanent and lifelong disability, being of autism, they aren't, that is no longer been an automatic access. So they're going back to focusing on your functional impacts and how that essentially does impact you from day to day.
So when are these changes looking to happen?
So at the moment, they are sort of more stating that in your plan reassessments or possibly plan reviews, that we are going to start seeing some changes there. However, from my understanding there is that a lot of these changes won't be properly implemented until sort of late 27, more so coming into 2028.
So will my current plan, will that change immediately?
No. So your current plan is safe, obviously for the time being. It will, though, eventually start to roll over into the new system. So at the moment, plans are still being rolled over. So you will see there that, your plan is due, let's say June 2026. If you haven't heard from NDIS within that 3 months leading up to that, your plan is still generally rolling over at this stage. So you may still be in the old system or possibly PACE, but until you have that plan review reassessment meeting, everything will remain the same.
So will my funding be reduced?
Yes, good question. Yes, we are seeing that some plans in plan reassessments are being reduced. NDIS are also focusing very heavily on what they refer to as the step-down theory. So they are approving 5-year plans currently with the intent of stepping down, which means now this is only an example, but say for the first 2 or 3 years, you may have 10 hours a week of course support, which then drops down to, say 6 for the 4th year, possibly 5 for the 3rd year, and the same within your capacity building. So for any sort of allied health, they may do the same thing, and then also for support coordination, we're seeing that is also getting reduced as the years go in. Now, that can be very unsettling for especially somebody with autism, because whilst yes, we would love to say after 5 years we would be doing amazing, but it doesn't always mean that that's the case. So 5-year plans are really hard with the step down theory. However, you are still always entitled to go for a review at any time throughout that 5-year plan. So don't feel that you're stuck to having a 5-year plan, unless of course your plan is sufficient for your needs.
What supports are most likely to be reduced?
Yeah, I think it's still yet to be sort of determined with that. However, there is a lot that is being said around reducing the social and community participation budget. So that is things like, a support worker possibly going out into the community with you, getting you out of the house, those really, really important elements to everyday life. They could possibly be reduced. And also a lot of group programs. So unless they've got like a really, functional element to them, then so like social skill groups, things like that, then yes, I feel that a lot of the social groups will be impacted by this change.
So what happens if I no longer qualify for NDIS?
So at the moment, again, we're sort of unsure of how this looks, but there is a lot of talk there around you will not just be kicked off NDIS or not have anything else to transition into. There are certain, foundational programs that are being, I guess, looked into at the moment, but nothing has actually been, I guess, confirmed or transitioned over in 2 years yet. So until then, we won't know, but they have assured us that anybody that no longer meets criteria will still be looked after in some capacity.
So how are children affected by these changes?
So from where my taking is on this is that the Thriving Kids program is still being rolled out, which means it is not set as yet. There is nothing set in stone. However, children under the age of 9 that essentially are currently looked after by the early intervention program, we could possibly see the transition over to Thriving Kids. How that looks, again, we're still unsure, as in, how is that going to be funded? What is that going to consist of? There's still a lot of grey in that. So unfortunately, I'm not able to really give too much on that. But I know they are really wanting to focus more on mainstream supports, trying to focus more on the schooling education side of things, and then, other pathways other than just the NDIS.
But I suppose that's something that we'll keep people updated with, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. As soon as we are aware of anything that is foundational and is actually, in motion, then we will definitely discuss that further.
So will I still have choice and control?
Absolutely. I mean, look, NDIS is still very much heavily, agrees and sticks with it. A participant still has choice and control. So yes, you are still able to use providers, that you feel comfortable with. However, we are seeing that in the plans, they are becoming a lot tighter. So when I refer to tighter, with what's written, especially in your capacity building budget, is very important. So that's things that, you can speak with, either your support coordinator, your local LAC, and, just get a bit of an understanding around of what's actually written in that budget and how you can utilise it.
So will therapists and reports matter more?
Oh, absolutely. Look, it's actually a legal requirement that every, plan review, not plan review, but 8 weeks leading up to your plan expiring, that therapists especially should be providing you with the progress reports. So they are really, really focusing on this, not just getting, say, a functional capacity assessment because you're wanting to go for a review, but really making sure that your allied health your allied health professionals, are providing the NDIS with those progress reports. Again, your support coordinator should be all over this. Otherwise, if you don't have support coordination funding, it's a good idea just to remind your therapist that they are due and that they are to be submitted through. Actually, on that, we have seen in the past too that if certain allied health, so speech, OT, psychology, if they're not providing progress reports, that coming into the review process, that NDIS are looking at removing the budget for them altogether if they do not have reports. So definitely really important to make sure that you have them.
So having that backlog of reports stored for when this change comes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, is a really good idea. Yeah.
So Eden, what are some key steps that people can start taking now to prepare for this reform?
Yeah, so definitely if you got support coordination, I would be touching base and speaking with your coordinator. But I would be also starting to look at gathering some strong evidence. So again, your therapist should be aware of this and of these changes, but it's really important in these reports that we're producing that we're really functioning on your functional impact. So how you're actually impacted from day to day and how that does look, so things like, when you are heavily masking, what that does and how that impacts you, challenges there within work, the community, home. So not just focusing on, for example, in reports previously, it could have been around, due to her diagnosis, you know, she was impacted X, Y, Z. If we want to try and steer clear of using the term diagnosis almost, it's more coming down to, you know, keywords like, you know, your functional impact, how that impacts you. You know, you cannot say, if there's a physical impairment, you know, you can't stand for longer than 5 minutes at a time, things like that. So really kind of using those key words that are important to your functional impairment, not just focusing on the diagnosis.
And so how are we going to help people with this process? How can we support our clients through this reform, and what kind of services do we offer here at the Neurodiverse Network?
So if you are already one of our participants with support coordination, know that you are already looked after. So between myself, Taylor, and Emily, you know, we are always here. So at any time, please feel free to reach out. We can have a chat with you. We can go through anything. But otherwise, if not, you know, we do have a fantastic team of psychologists here. We have family therapists. We do have a number of different support teams and a number of support workers. So if you are unsure of anything, or you know you do want to touch base with us, please feel free to. I'm sure that there'll be somebody that is happy to get in contact and have a chat with you about what are some options and where you can go to from here.
Great, thank you so much for your time. And we do have a PDF available that sort of summarises these points, available online, so you can pop over to our website and download that one. Otherwise, we'll probably pop the link in the bio as well. So yeah, thanks, Eden.
Thank you.